Hey, what's up, zoners? Today, we got a list, man, of the top 50 most common players that can be found on championship teams of last year. We're going to go through this, okay? We're going to see where these league winners came from, where they were drafted, what we can take from that draft strategy. What is consistent over the last 4 years, man, like hitting on a late quarterback, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, hitting on a late tight end, Brock Bowers, Jonnu Smith, all right, stuff like that. We could take all the lessons that we learned and apply it to next season. Because again, man, a lot of these things have been consistent over the last 3 years. I will go over what's new from last year, maybe in the last 2 years, so we can kind of adapt to that. And hey, man, we already did the show about fantasy playoffs. This is for the big dogs, all right? The ones that go all out. Look at the fantasy playoff schedules before you even draft, man, okay? So all that data is going to be here today for us. We're going to know how to draft championship squads at the end of this episode, but you got to hold on for 7 seconds. All right, let's explain the table that we will be going over today, all right? In the first column are the players' names, dude. So Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery went down at the end of last season. They had that top 2 offensive line. Jahmyr Gibbs went nuclear, okay? In the second column is the position that player plays. So Jahmyr Gibbs is a running back. And then the third column is the percentage of teams that had Jahmyr Gibbs on their roster, the percentage of championship teams. So 29% of championship teams, 1 out of every 3 almost, had Jahmyr Gibbs on their roster. That is the most by far of any other player on this list. And then the fourth column, man, is their ADP. So Jahmyr Gibbs was taken at the top of the second round for the most part, and that is reflected in the fourth column. All right, let's go over some of the consistencies from the last couple of years real quick. I sorted by ADP. So in the first 2 rounds, man, all the way down to 25 for the most part. Let's go over the amount of wide receivers and running backs that were drafted that were on championship teams. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers, right? In the first 2 rounds. Let's look at the running backs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs. So 6 wide receivers, 6 running backs in the first 2 rounds did not bust. They helped you win a championship. That is 12 out of 24. That is a 50% hit rate, dude. And it is split right down the middle between running backs and wide receivers. So to make things easy, man, I don't care who you draft in the first 2 rounds. The only goal in the first 2 rounds is to draft not league losers, okay? So just don't draft bust people. Like ETN last year, man, you drafted him, he might have submarined your season. So if you're going to win a championship, the odds are, man, you're going to hit on your first and second round draft pick and a little bit and on some draft picks later on. So again, in the first 2 rounds, I don't care, man. The evidence shows, and this has gone on for like 4 years in a row, man, it is a 50% hit rate, and it is kind of evenly distributed between wide receivers and running backs. It was skewed heavily towards wide receivers being more successful in like the first 2 years, but that has came back down to more of a 50-50 with the running backs being more of a thing with the way the defenses are playing them. So, hey, man, don't listen to people. If you want to draft a running back in the first round, draft Derrick Henry. I do not care. All right, let's look at some of the skill positions, okay, that were drafted super late. See if this is consistent with the years past. In the years past, man, it has been way more common to find running backs late than wide receivers. And tight ends, there's always like 2 or 3 tight ends every single year, man, that help people win championships that go super late, maybe even undrafted. And right off the list, dude, Jonnu Smith, undrafted. That guy was, I think, tight end 4 in the second half of the season. He was a PPR machine. As soon as Tua had a concussion, that shit was off the chain, okay? Isaac Orindo, backup. Michael Carter, backup. So those 2 right there, the last couple weeks of the season, people took advantage of them on the waiver wire or had them on their team because of a backup anyways. Sam Darnold, dude, as a quarterback was a huge hit. So you can see hitting on Sam Darnold was kind of an unknown. I did push him because of Nick Mullins the season before, coming from San Francisco, averaging like 19 fantasy points per game. Sam Darnold did the same damn thing. We don't care about kickers or anything. Running backs, dude, Bucky Irving. So again, go check out my running back rooms that have no clear running back 1. Bucky Irving stepped into the situation because Rachaad White's efficiency metrics were terrible, man. So bad. Bucky Irving's metrics were amazing last year. So look for those opportunities on running back and get the later of the 2 and try to hit on this. Bo Nix, man, another quarterback. So Sam Darnold, Bo Nix going super late. I loved Bo Nix last year, and I actually did like Sam Darnold. So those 2 really weren't a big surprise to me. Baker Mayfield was a surprise. I did not think he'd be a top 5 quarterback. Holy shit, dude. So let's see. We got like 5 quarterbacks right here. So, and then Jared Goff, man, was on 11% of championship squads. and they started him. He was amazing. This year, he lost to center. I hate that. I hate it so much, dude. But he's going as like quarterback 20 something. He is going so late. So if you want to wait and draft Jared Goff at the same spot he was drafted last year, maybe even later, man, I would do that. Zach Charbonnet, again, stepping in for Kenneth Walker. So a lot of these running backs late were backups. The thing with wide receivers, other than Jalen McMillan, man, that never really happens. There's not like a wide receiver waiting in the wings unless you're like on Chicago or something like that. Chase Brown, man, again, one of these running back rooms with no clear number one. They had Zach Moss, but these are the things you want to target. Brian Thomas Jr., a wide receiver room with no clear number one. It was Christian Kirk, and he was coming off injury, dude. So again, another thing you want to target there. Jaden Daniels. So we like rookie quarterbacks. Caleb Williams was being drafted too early last year. I did push him. I thought Caleb Williams was going to be good last year. It was Jaden Daniels who you wanted, even with some of those offensive line metrics were kind of shitty. I was surprised that he did so well. Terry McLaurin. So this is the end of the skill positions going late. We all believed in Terry McLaurin, man. Again, you're looking for people, an established number. It was like Cortland Sutton and Terry McLaurin we were pushing last year because they had rookie quarterbacks. Nobody believed in them, so you got to think about that this season. Calvin Ridley, dog. Calvin Ridley right now is my Terry McLaurin from last year. So there you go. And then as far as middle of the pack goes, T. Higgins, he's not middle of the pack anymore. Joe Burrow's getting drafted even higher this year. George Kittle and Trey McBride. So this is where a lot of the end of the top tier of tight ends go. So if you want to get a tight end in the middle rounds, that's totally cool, man. Like Evan Ingram, or I'm trying to think of some right now. George Kittle again. Some of these, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers are going to go super high. Sam Laporta, George Kittle might be going in this area, and I would be all about George Kittle going in the middle rounds this season. That's who I'd be targeting. And then, dude, and then the rest, man, we're supposed to hit. So who really cares about that? Like I said, in the first two rounds, draft who you want. And really in the first 4 rounds, it doesn't make that big of a difference either. You're looking at like wide receivers, running backs. I mean, it's not like it runs off the list with a bunch of wide receivers or running backs. It is almost 50-50 here. Today we learned, man, we have to chase those running back rooms with no clear-cut number one running back, okay? So there's 10 of those in the league right now. Jacksonville's one of them. There's a whole bunch of other ones as well. Also, there's 8 wide receiver rooms with no clear-cut wide receiver. Number one wide receiver, okay? Chase those, dude. Draft the ones that you want. Josh Downs is going like in round 16 right now. He might be on this list next year, okay? Hit on late tight ends. Hit on late quarterbacks. So Jared Goff is going like his quarterback 20, all right? There's an example right there. Draft him, dude, super late. It does not matter. Justin Herbert's going in like the 10th round or some shit like that. Get him. Tight ends? Dude, there are so many. Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert. For God's sakes, man, they all might have a chance to be on this list. So that is how you win a championship, man. And do not draft league losers in the first 2 rounds. So avoid bust in the first 2 rounds. Just save his floor, man. It doesn't really matter. All right. They all hit at a 50% rate, and it's spread out between running backs and wide receivers. Middle rounds, maybe target those the end of the quarterbacks, the end of the tight ends, and then again hit that super late. Okay. So that is a roadmap. I want to say that's been consistent for almost 4 years in a row, dude. So again, wide receivers hit more often in the first 2 years. Now it's skewing back to the running backs. So other than that, super consistent. Take this to the bank. My God. All right. So hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription. We got a live drinking show coming out on Friday, man. Check that shit out. Okay. And that's super fun. This is Tyler Big Turd Ward. This is the Fantasy Red Zone, and I appreciate you.